sequencing or patterns might be the current collective vibe. If you're noticing patterns, if you're noticing a sequence of things, if the patterns are becoming super clear to you, this might well be for you. So welcome to the space. Before we get into it, I'm going to just pull back and take a pause here and do some deep breathing, as we usually do in this space, but for some reason that feels very relevant right now. So I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths. I do invite you to take some deep breaths with me to ground our energy in. I mean, this has been a thing for a while, is maintaining our chill is what I'm hearing, but just being grounded in the now moment. I'm not sure if you saw that. I'm not actually sure if it's from the incense that I'm burning. It's not. It doesn't seem like it, which is interesting actually, because the video for June that was recorded last week, or might have actually been this week, was about patterns as well. And what just happened then, something was noticed at the very start of the video that happened the last time too. So there's this sort of vibe of a sequence of events or sequencing, which was noticed actually when I was writing down the date. So the date of this recording is the 12th of the 6th, 26. So a sequence of patterns, repetition even, is being noticed, is being unveiled or unmasked, I'm hearing. So yeah, let's take some deep breaths and get into it and see what is going on. However you want to do that is, of course, up to you. But generally, I tend to breathe in through the nose, take a deep belly breath, inhalation through the nose, hold at the top, and exhale as much as you can. I'm just being reminded on that exhalation, try to feel some softness in the body, as in releasing any tension in the body, or even as simple as just dropping your shoulders on the exhalation. So I'm not sure why, but this is coming to awareness, is that when we exhale, and this is something I've learned in the last couple of weeks, when we exhale, we're not actually exhaling all of the oxygen out of the body. There is a amount of oxygen that is still left within the lungs. I don't know why this has been brought to my attention. And I'm seeing the word balance. So it seems like there is a balance that needs to be maintained, or a balance will always inevitably be, because in reality there is no duality, right? There's no right, wrong, good, bad, left. I mean, we perceive these conceptions, right? Or conceptions, interesting. Perceive these conceptions. I was trying to say concepts. We perceive these concepts, but in reality, it's all awareness. It's all consciousness. So I'm not sure why that's being said, but that's all right. If it comes through, it comes through. If not, it doesn't. But I have forgotten to invite you to grab a cuppa if you haven't already, because this is what we do in this space. So again, an invitation to slow down, be here now. If you'd like to grab a cuppa, obviously pause the video. But this is just a space for us to chill together and just chat about what is being perceived in the now moment. So this energy is interesting because the word off-putting wanted to be said. It is a little bit discomfortable. What the fuck is going on with the words at the moment? There is a sense of and I was gonna say uncomfortableness or something. Yeah, it's like a jingle jangle of words. The words are all in the wrong sequence or like splooshed together. I'm not quite sure what that means in terms of the frequency at the moment, or whenever it is that you come across this video. But it's the energy itself feels it's uncomfortable in the sense that it doesn't feel natural, or it feels like it's racing but it's contained. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone. So as always, there is definitely a need to slow down, to be with like yeah, let's be with that right now and see. If I were to describe it in a word, it's anxiety. It's like an anxiety or an anxious feeling or perceived anxiousness. And there's a possibility of being in between two worlds, so to speak. Because when I was writing notes, which I haven't done in a while, and there weren't many, it was just the words that felt important. I got in the world or of the world, as in this dichotomous idea that, yeah, you're either in the world or you're of the world. I don't know, but let's pull some cards from the Sacred Symbols deck by Marcella Kroll. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, so I do apologize if I've fucked it up. Alright. See, I'm not sure if I mentioned in this take, it is a little bit noisy out here today. I should say a lot of bit noisy, so that could also speak to noise in your environment, if not external, internal. That's kind of what that feels like, that anxiety, like lots of thoughts going on, maybe lots of overthinking. Yeah, what is going on? It's very busy. I'm also feeling like calm before the storm type of vibes. Okay. This is not ominous at all. It's the Time card. Time. Boundaries. Let's get one more. Okay, it's something about the number 26, because I'm seeing it like 3 times here. Full moon. Actually don't know when the next full moon is. I feel like we just had one. Yeah, we did. I want to get another one for the full moon. Air. Air. It is I feel like it still is. Oh no, Taurus. What is the date today? 12th of the 6th. What is that? Gemini. So Gemini is air energy. So you may well be a Gemini. You may be an air sign. Or this may be, because the time card is here, this may be in relation to a full moon around an air sign. Maybe. Let's ponder on these energies for a while. Definitely seeing sequencing, because we've got the numbers 20, 28 and 29. And the boundaries card is 26, but the number 27 is missing. So whether that is relevant in some way, I might actually look for card 27 and see what that one is, because that would be very interesting, wouldn't it? 27. Interesting. It's the fire card. Interesting. What's after Gemini? We've got Cancer, which is a water sign. But this may relate to either air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, or fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. But there's something about shapes here as well. These 3 shape cards. Patterns. And air or fire needs air to survive. What is this about? It's like what it's feeling like, because generally I'm very talkative in this space, right? If you've been following for a while. There's something going on with the eye as well. I'm not sure if you noticed me rubbing the eye. That's the right side, which if you're looking at it from a body perspective, of course I'm telling you about the eye. In terms of energetic qualities, it's on the masculine side of the body. So agitation, seeing something from a masculine perspective, possible. Masculine perspective. And also fire energy is very masculine, right? It's very we're talking action here, taking action. The fire signs are generally action taking signs, which is very masculine in quality. Seeing something, or agitated. Masculine side is agitated, or something that you've seen. So it's like there's these things going on, these things that are happening, and it's like we need to make sense of it. You know, it's like I'm getting like a puzzle. It's like a puzzle piece that needs to be figured out, put together. Could also be something to to the do. What the fuck? To do with the number 9 for some reason. It's come through twice now, so I'm not sure if the number 9 means anything. Maybe you're seeing 9s, like 999. In the tarot, it is the Hermit card. So, possibility of you taking some time out, perhaps looking into how you either need to compose some boundaries for yourself or for others, or strengthening these boundaries. Yeah, this feels like a puzzle, even more so than usual, because usually when we're doing cards, we're interpreting what we're seeing, right? Symbols. So this feels like a puzzle, and the words are not coming out right. The words are weird. What the hell is going on here? I'm just seeing a deck that I'd like to use. I might use this one as well, just to get some insight as to what this is actually about. Let me know in the comments if this is making any fucking sense. I'm seeing the words healing and intuition, so you may have been going through some type of healing process, which is why the boundaries may have come out as well. And the full moon is about releasing things. So yeah, perhaps a space where you've needed to release something. Maybe you've released an air or fire sign, or signs, you know, maybe it's multiple people that you've stepped away from. Maybe it's creative projects that you've stepped away from, or intellectual pursuits, intellectual projects, or study or something like that. Or even mindsets, passions, or desires. Letting go of desires. Get some more information. I'm hearing that song, Action, I Wanna Live. Oh God, that's terrible. I've just had because I've just been feeling to pick the bottom card, and it says Chamber of Soul Gifts, and I just had a chuckle to myself because I just tried to sing there and that was just awful. So that's definitely not my gift. Maybe it is yours. Maybe you have an untapped vocal ability that you're expressing at in some way, shape, or form at the moment. But yes, that song, I forget who sings it, but I have had it come out multiple times on the space before, but yeah, it's just the way that I said that word before. Don't know. Okay, so we've got soul retrieval. Interesting, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Soul retrieval. And the masks we wear. Now this one is very interesting indeed, because when I did the video on the energy for June, a lot of it was about this imposter energy, whether it was yourself or somebody else around you, pretending to be or pretending to express a version of, oh, how does this want to be said? It's interesting because the only word that's coming through is pretending. This pretentious or pretending kind of energy, showing up with our masks on, and whether that is you feeling imposter syndrome and pretending to be someone you're not, whether this is someone around you, or whether throughout this process, whatever it is that you're going through, you've felt that what I'm getting is a removal of, right? A removal of masks, as in releasing identities, mindsets, things that are going on. And why I say it's interesting is because in both of these depictions here, we've got this little glass globe looking thing, which I sense is a representation in this deck of a soul, which is not necessarily a concept I believe in terms of how the general world sees it. And I don't really want to read the, maybe I should. But what this is almost feeling like is the more of these layers that are being taken off and removed and released, the more we're coming into contact with who it is that we really are, right? Which at the essence, at the core of it, is not a form at all. It is consciousness, period. Consciousness. Because I do find this image fascinating. It's a representation of a little girl, yet the image is made up of all of these little lights, right? Which feels to me like what it is that we are. We're energy, frequency, consciousness, awareness, however you perceive that. But let's have a quick read of the soul retrieval and chamber of soul gifts. So I'm just reading through this. I don't feel like I need to speak to it because this was actually mentioned in the June video about our quote-unquote purpose. So if you want to watch that, do definitely have a watch of that. But I want to read Soul Retrieval, trying not to really read the guidebooks, because obviously everyone has their own impressions and own perceptions of what something means. If I could find it, that would be amazing. Okay, here we go. This card can appear for two reasons. Firstly, because a lost part of your soul is waiting to return home to you. Sometimes the loss, shame, or hurt we experience is too great and part of our soul leaves our body. I don't know if I necessarily resonate with that, but I will continue reading. When this happens, it can feel like part of us is missing or as if we're not quite ourselves. Secondly, it can be because your soul is trying to get your attention. Perhaps you've been spending too much time living in your head rather than your heart. Maybe your soul is longing for you to listen to it, to express it, to spend time with it. This card can come as a warning to wake up and remember the soul. The soul can be likened to both the ancient wise part of you and the divine child within. So what I want to say about that is this is not necessarily a belief that I maintain about souls being outside of you. However, what it feels like to me in terms of the context of this reflection, if you will, is coming home to yourself, is figuring out who you are, and the way to do that is to strip back entirely. And I don't necessarily mean letting go of natural possessions, right? Although some people think that that's how they become closer to God. In some The law, yes, that helps, because it's like, okay, what is the point of holding on to this thing or having this thing if it doesn't align with me? So there's that, right? We're this is a process I'm currently going through, is devoluming, because there are just things that aren't required or don't align or don't resonate. So there's that piece, but there's also a piece about learning who you really are. Not this form, not this identity, not this mindset, right? Not these ideas. It's like stripping back the persona, stripping back the ego, to realize and to remember who it is that we truly are. We are formless. However, our perception, our perceived notion is that we are these individual bodies, these individual souls going through life, doing the things, and we can only ever meet ourselves where we're at, right? So for me to try to explain that, it might not make sense. So I might just leave it there. But what I do want to speak to is this acknowledgement of the soul gifts, because that was spoken of. The card is here, and that was spoken about in the last video. So about purpose. I'm not going to go into it too much because I do feel like I covered it a little bit in the last video. But when we do strip back, when we let go, full moon energy here, when we release either our mindsets, air energy, our thinking, our programming, when we're releasing our desires, our wants, the material things, or even the immaterial things, like wanting to be a certain way, wanting to show up as a particular version of ourselves, or wanting people to perceive us as that version. When we let go of that, when we strip back, that's when we actually truly find out who we are. But it's not without, I don't want to say struggle. It can feel like that. I feel like I did actually see the Dark Night of the Soul come out. And interestingly enough, the Tall Poppy card is right at the bottom of the deck. So that's speaking to showing up in a particular way, and our perception of how people see us. There was a video on that, so do go back to that. Projections is here as well. Okay, let's get something else. Let's see. Okay, this one flew out. Chamber of Protection. I do feel this is connected to the Boundaries card. So if your version of that looks like stepping away from certain energies, as I said before, possibly air or fire signs, or even those things I mentioned before, mindsets, programming, conditioning, desires, wants, material things, even if we're stepping away from that, that is in a way protection, right? The timing card has me interested, and I do, even though it is a concept, there is something about patience. I'm going to pull from the other deck. Just seeing 29:39 on the timer. If that makes sense to anybody. Interesting, because the next number is 29 from the numbers that I saw before. Oh no, it is, yeah, it's 20, 26, 27, 28, 29, sequence, a sequence. Maybe those are dates as well, to be mindful. Just because the time card is here, it could actually be dates. Maybe the 26th, 29th, 26th, 7th, 8th, and 9th of this month of June. Doesn't have to be, but it's interesting. For sure is interesting. Oh, okay, that card. I feel like I need to shuffle, keep shuffling. Just going to take this moment to take a couple of deep breaths in. What I need to see. Yeah, seeing here, strange. I mean, I say strange, but you know, hearing the word puzzle and then looking down and seeing the word puzzle. Okay, and then we've got this conflict, chaos and conflict card, and there's these puzzle pieces on the actual card. Card number 33, so there's some patterning happening there. 29 is definitely a number. 33, 22. We've got 22, card 22, card 33, and card 29. So 29 might be a important number. And at the start, I said number 9 is important. So what is going on with the numbers 9, 29, 26, 27, 28, 29, 22 as well? We've got the blessed card. Hearing winds of change. Breathe. Yep, that definitely feels legit, especially today, especially the energy that's being felt. This anxious energy. And then this chaos and conflict. On the card, it's a zebra, but the puzzle pieces are coming off of it to reveal a giraffe pattern. So this also feels like a masks coming off type of vibe. Or coming into contact with something deeper, a deeper version of you, or a truer version, I should say. And this was going to be said before, and it wasn't said, and now it's coming back again, is that there's a perception that releasing all of these things is... the word I was getting was boring, or there's a perception of boredom, or that life will be quote unquote boring, or that there's possibly nothing else to offer, or something to that effect. I'm not sure why that was said. It's just not the case. Or this perception that once we release all of these masks, once we let go of all of these masks, we're going to look like this figure in the picture that looks sad. There is nothing to be sad about, because the emotions aren't real. How does that want to be said? Emotions aren't real. Our perceptions of the world is not real. And at the start I had in the world of the world. Maybe we are so latched onto this idea of being in the world, or of the world, that it is potentially hard for us to release, right? Because of this conditioning, because of this programming, that we are these human beings with all of these things. And I do get that, of course. this is something I'm currently going through. It's like we see it, so therefore it's real, but it's not really. And I don't know how else to quite explain that. But whatever this is, whatever this process is that you're facing at the moment, it's not easy. And I feel like I've said this so many times in the space. That process is not easy. It is chaotic, and it can feel conflicting. Maybe that's where this anxiety is coming from, is this feeling like, I'm hearing the word dread, this feeling of dread of, well, fuck, if I let go of all this stuff, if I let go of all these things, if I let go of these people, then who am I and what is my purpose? And just overwhelm. And I've been drawn to this card of protection here. It's just like finding yourself, coming home to yourself, realizing who you are, who you truly are, who you really are. That's a form of protection of all the noise that was going on outside, for starters. Just all of the noise. It's like, okay, never mind the noise that is happening around me. I'm focusing within. I'm going within. And there's this realization of when that happens, there's this realization of what the truth really is, that we all somehow are connected, and we're all part of this play, if you will, that we're all playing a role. Just like the bees do. They all play a role within the hive, within the collective consciousness. What else do we want to pull from? Okay. And the card that was on top for some reason, which is strange, because I don't feel like that was the card that I'd put on top when I put my cards back in the deck, is the Pilgrim. That is so strange, because the card I actually did put on the top was Gnosis. Yeah, there it is. So this was on top of this, and the Pilgrim fell out, which is rather interesting, because wow, man. Okay, guys, something deep is happening right now. Something that cannot really be described. Whoever is brought to this video, whoever is watching this video, there is some kind of journey you're on, and not just a shallow one. Okay, this is for the deep ones, the ones that are willing to let go of the stuff, the beliefs, the masks. We're wanting to go deeper. This card is not here by any accident at all. And another reason I say that is because this little mountain here, there has been in our household, between my husband and I, this discussion, or really it's been my husband discussing it with me and I'm listening, about Mount Arunachala, which is a mountain in India, or a hill in India, which is a very, very, very spiritual place, if you will, sacred place. It's spoken about a lot in the Ramana Maharshi teachings, which if you've been following for a while, you guys know that that's something I'm currently navigating. And this little mountain here, or hill, reminds me of that. It's this very sacred place. Which is also a spiritual, I want to say the word nexus, interesting, a spiritual nexus, if you will, where like energy converges, and you know, a lot of people come for enlightenment or to step further into themselves, that sort of thing. So I'm very curious if this is where you're at right now. This is a space you're in, of this possible self-reflection, self-judgment. And if you follow Ramana Maharshi or Nisargadatta Maharaj, or even Papaji, or maybe even Muji, self-inquiry. Self-inquiry. Who am I? Is the key phrase there. Who am I? Haven't even pulled out any cards in this deck, and already at the bottom of the deck we have the Shaman. So there is some interesting, whoever is being, whichever collective is being witnessed here, this is quite intense, but it is all quite, it is very special. It is not an easy journey by any means. It's tough. It's tough, but it's not impossible. And if you are in this space right now, it's exactly where you're meant to be. You're always where you're meant to be. Always. So even if this is not you, but you're still here, that's okay too, right? There's something that you can pull from this video. And I'm just feeling that lower back. Interesting. I heard stress, which is funny because it's not. It's just not 100% happy. But maybe there you have some stress in your stability at the moment, or stresses around stability, financial or otherwise, which is contributing to this chaos and conflict, or even making you question, like, okay, so if I step away from this, whatever this is this going to create financial stress or some type of, I just saw the fault line, which is interesting because the Mount Arunachala is on a, what do you call it? What's that word? Ley line. Ley line. Spiritual ley line. Okay, so these cards just slid out, but they were sitting on my lap, so I'm going to speak to it. Gnosis is here again. Do watch the video for June because this might be very relevant. Gnosis, this is getting to know, this is self and the bridge. Yeah, in the world of the world. In the world of the world. So perhaps there's this, you're in this intermediary phase, right? You're kind of in this middle phase of trying to figure things out. And I'm aware of what I just said there, figure things out. There is nothing to figure out. There is just being with it. And I feel like I said that at the start of this, where there was this not uncomfortable feeling, but just unnatural. It feels unnatural, or perhaps that's how we perceive it, or that's how we've been programmed to feel like, ooh, that's not a natural feeling over there. That discomfort you're feeling, that's not an okay feeling. And if that's what you're sensing or feeling or perceiving, this is a bit to say, be with it. Be with it. Be with the discomfort, quote unquote discomfort. Because that's the bridge. That is the bridge. Because in that void space. I want to say it's like a void space, but there's still this connection in between worlds. In the void space, that is when you realize who you are. You're always connected. We are always connected to, we are never disconnected from consciousness. We're never disconnected from who we really are, which at the core of it is awareness. Awareness is always there. Always. We just perceive it not to be because of the programming. I mean, it's called TV programs for a reason, right? It's like TV programming. Programming us to believe how the world works, or what the world even is, or what we are, what the form is, or what... Oh, interesting. That one flew out, and just so by the way, it's the Shaman card. Toes to the rescue! The Shaman is here again. I'm feeling to pull this as well, the Village and the One. This is speaking to consciousness, self, the inner knowing, our inner ability to alchemize, but without the doing part. Excuse me. Because guess what? We're not the ones in control. And at the start I said something about action, and an agitation. An agitation as in what we're perceiving is not vibing with the reality. When I say reality, I mean the truth. Because what we perceive is this projection. We had that card come up before. Where is it? Let's see if I can pull it up. No, I've put it back. Yeah, what we perceive is this projection, right? But the projection is a projection. It's not the truth. It's not the reality. And so, yeah, as a shaman, we are alchemizing things, but it already is. It's already in motion. We do not have control of what happens. And there is a need to accept that fact. So what is the Village? And there's that mountain again. I kind of want to read this card only because I've never pulled that one before. The hometown, the family, the tribe. The Village presents us with a conundrum. On one hand, it's the place that feels most like home, the place to which you can always return within. And I don't mean this physical form, I mean awareness, consciousness. Nostalgia and comfort. Okay, you need to watch the June video because this came out. Nostalgia and comfort draw us back. On the other hand, it's the very place you must leave in order to grow. Around the Village, an unspoken boundary exists. We had the boundary card. One most villages do not want you to cross. This is reminding me of that movie, Star something. Maybe it'll come to me later, with Michelle Pfeiffer and a couple of, I don't know their names. Anyway, the Village is, around the Village, an unspoken boundary exists. One most villages do not want you to cross. Though some support your leaving, still you hear whispers of doubt as you venture beyond its borders, leaving them behind. The energy of the Village is present anytime we feel restricted by a certain group, community, family, place, or ideology. It may have served us in the past, yet staying within its parameters will never satiate our thirst for life. thank the village for all it has provided, knowing that someday you'll return. For now, the world awaits. I want to speak to this because that movie stars something. I will put it in the comments when I remember what it's called. This young man wants to leave their village, but in this village there's this law, or not really law, it's more of this, what's that word? Superstition, that if you leave the village, something will happen to you, right? However, he ends up leaving anyway to find a star, and because he believes that if he finds the star and gives it to this woman that he loves, that she will love him back and they'll get together and rah-de-da. But he leaves the village, and I don't want to like ruin the movie in case you want to watch it. He leaves the village and actually discovers more of who he is, and more about the world. So it's very interesting that this has come out, because this is feeling like, okay, if we drop all these ideas of who we are, all the programming, all the conditioning of who we are, of who we're supposed to be, of how we're supposed to express ourselves in this projection, if we drop all that, then something quote unquote bad is going to happen, or life is going to be miserable to some extent. However, that's the part that needs to be investigated, and I encourage you to watch that movie to see if anything kind of vibes for you within it, because there is a deeper message of, if we leave this, our ideas, our ideology, our conditioning, we might actually discover more of who we are, of what our quote unquote purpose is, or soul gifts, or however you want to phrase that. Yeah, I find it all very, very interesting, and do make sure that you watch the June video, because this whole seems, and even the June video seemed really messy, but there is the patterns. It's about the patterns. It's about the sequencing. There is a sequence of events, and trust that you already know that. Trust that that's already within you. It's just a matter of slowing down, of letting go of the things that just don't resonate for sure. You know, that's a good start. If it doesn't align with you, let it go. If it feels safe to do so. Okay, I'm gonna pull one or two more cards from the Alchemy of the Spirit deck and see what else we get, because I'm finding this reading absolutely interesting. I just called it a reading because it's not really a reading. This is not a predictive space at all. It's just a, like I said at the start, a translation of what's being seen. I've just seen the Sword card. I think it's upside down in the pile, so that's about truth. Well, from my translation, I'm not reading from the book in that sense. I'm not sure what the book actually says about the sword in this deck. But it's about truth. What else? I'm going to say it again. Please watch the June video. We've just had a feather card come out, the feather, and that video is about June, the message for June, which is feathers / messages. Also have the cave. And did I not say that the number 9 was the hermit? This is feeling very hermitish here. Stepping into this environment where we can really self-investigate. I don't think the card deck itself will necessarily mean that aspect of it. But I just want to start reading the cards in this deck specifically the way I see it, or whatever. If I read, I read. If I don't, I don't. But yeah, this is feeling like also signs, sequencing, right? Sequencing. Okay, you know what? I will read it. Just a little bit of it. Sign of faith and trust. Yeah, that's as much as I'm going to say about that one. And card, moment of shadows, the cave. The cave you fear to enter holds the answers you seek. You are approaching a dark cave within your spirit, and it's time to look inward. It takes courage to look within yourself. Hell yeah. It takes even greater courage to see and accept the parts of yourself that are not pretty, the shadows. But it is often easier to see them in others than to acknowledge them about yourself. It is often easier to project onto others what you don't like about yourself rather than admitting on occasion you could also be the bad neighbor, the bad partner, the selfish friend, or the arrogant person. Maybe in someone else's story, you are the person they need to heal from. You are human and are bound to make mistakes, yet it can be a humbling gift to realize that on occasion you can be wrong too. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Watch that video, because we were talking about projections and mirrors and getting triggered by people. That was a thing in that video. So do watch that. But I find this is neatly tying up everything we've just spoken about, including the June video. So yeah, I hope that makes sense to you guys. I hope that that resonated. And if not, it just wasn't meant for you. But I always feel like there is something people can pull from these videos, even if it's something small, whether it is to just be with your emotions, as the cave said, as I said before, the anxiety, if that's what is being felt, or that discomfort, be with it in that moment. Allow it to, like, try not to label it. Try not to say, oh, I'm anxious, or oh, I'm uncomfortable. Just be with whatever that is being felt without the labels, and let it move through as it should. I will leave you with that, and I hope that makes sense. I will remember to put that movie in the comments, in a pinned comment below. I hope you guys stay well. This is not an easy journey by any means, but what I do want to reflect to you is that you're not alone, okay? We are never alone. In fact, we are not even separate. So I hope you take that and remember it, and breathe. Essentially, just breathe and be with it all, because whatever you're going through, it will pass, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.